What if you found yourself surrounded by over 22 of the world's leading entrepreneurs, philanthropists, marketers, and investors, men and women that have all made over $100 million, spent $100 million on advertising, or received 100 million impressions, and they were all there to help you. You can ask them any questions that you wanted, tap into their vast business networks, and instantly download the wisdom that they've used to generate billions. You're getting immediate access to 50 plus online courses valued at thousands of dollars per course. You have an instant network of experts all surrounding you, locking arms with you, and there to help you that know your field and know how to dominate in your field, so that way you can avoid expensive, costly mistakes. Now is the time to increase your skills and increase your income, to get aligned with people that have what you want, that have achieved what you want to achieve, to once and for all take control of your life and your financial future. It's time to level up.
Hello, everyone. My name is Akash Pardesi, and I'm a performance coach. First off, I'd like to thank Joel Marion and the team for having me here today. I'm super excited to be here, but even more super excited to talk to all of you, because what I'm about to share is something very near and dear to my heart, all right? It's something that has relieved me of massive suffering and saved me tens of thousands of hours in not only my entrepreneurial life, but my life as a whole. All right. So now before I begin, I'd like to preface it with this. Okay. So I know all of you are entrepreneurs. I know all of you know how to make money. I know this subject may sound a little bit basic. However, there's a very popular idea in the entrepreneurial space, and it sounds a little something like this. Okay. Let me know if any of you guys resonate. All right. So forget about your feelings. Your bad mood doesn't matter. No one cares. Get the work done and deliver, right? Or maybe what you do on your low days are far more important than what you do on your high days, right? Anyone can do the work when they feel good. It's about what you do when you don't feel good that counts, all right? Like, does anyone resonate with this? Anyone heard this idea before, right? Because I definitely have, all right? This is exactly how I operated my life for years, right? Like, I thought feeling like shit all the time was normal, right? Excuse my language, but I just thought that was normal. I thought it was just part of the game, right? Like, that's what I signed up for, right? But what if it didn't have to be? What if there was a better way, a faster way, right? A more optimal way, okay? Well, I have good news for you, because there is, all right? So without further ado, let's get right into it. The topic of discussion today is mood regulation, all right? Or as I like to call it, MFR, which stands for mood, frequency, and regulation, all right? Now, I think we can all agree in life we have a whole bunch of this, right? Let me just whiteboard right here. We have a whole bunch of this. Now, I understand this is on Zoom, so it's a little hard to see the words. It's backwards, but that word right there, up there. Okay, boom. That word right there says highs, right? This word is lows. This word is time, okay? And this is an X and Y axis right here. We have the highs and lows of life on the Y axis, all right? On the X axis here, we got time, okay? So this little dotted line right here, right? This is like our journey in life, you can think about it, right? We got a little bit of ups, a little bit of down, bigger ups, bigger downs, higher ups, higher downs, right? See this little dotted line going about the situation, right? And then this is the time we're alive. That's a lot of what life looks like, right? I've went ahead and just circled the lows of life, right? These little treacherous points here in red. We're going to talk about these points and how they relate to mood regulation, okay? But so we got a whole bunch of this going on in life, right? That's just what happens, okay? So how we deal with or regulate our lows or our bad moods will determine not only how fast we grow, but also how effortlessly we grow, okay? And just to clarify, by effortless, I don't mean you will not encounter obstacles. It's not what I'm saying. What I mean is that we'll be able to move through these obstacles with minimal to no resistance, right? Which will then keep us at an elevated mood for a longer amount of time, right? And the more consciously we practice this, what I'm about to teach, we'll start to raise our default state of being, all right? Or one could say our vibrational state of being, okay? So why is this even important, right? What is a low vibrational state of being? Let's define that, all right? So low vibrations, what's that look like? Low energy, lack of motivation, foggy brain, destructive thought patterns, self-sabotage, like the list goes on, right? Essentially, what's happening here is we're not connected to our intelligence, right? We're just not connected to our genius at all, right? Can anyone relate to this? Again, I'm raising my hand for all this, right? Because I know I can. Numerous times I've had unpleasant situations come up that weren't too bad, but I decided to put off handling it, all right? Which 100% of the time is due to me being in a low vibrational state, okay? And the next thing I know, it grows into a big annoying headache. The headache gets so big that it becomes the elephant in the room, the elephant in my life, and now it's taken up so much of my reality and caused me so much pain that I have no choice but to fix it. And I do. I fix it and everything goes back to being happy again. And then I would sit there and wonder to myself, like, what was even the point of being so apprehensive to the task? Because if I was able to handle it when the problem was big, right, then obviously I should be able to handle it when the problem was small, right? Common sense. There's a great quote about this by Tim Grover. All right. Tim Grover is Michael Jordan's performance coach. Okay. And in this quote, he said, "There are no problems, only situations. Problems occur when we fail to take action on the situation." Right. It's kind of like a super depressed guy that can't get out of bed, no matter what he or she or any of his loved ones do. Right. Until his house is on fire. Like quite literally, the house is on fire. Okay. So let me explain. The fire started with a cigarette butt that fell into the trash. He saw it burning and was just like, whatever. I'm depressed. What doesn't matter. Okay. Then the fire starts and he's like, oh, you know what? The trash can's metal. It'll be fine. Right. But he's so out of it that he doesn't realize the trash can is right there by the drapes, which catch on fire, right? And now he's got all kinds of energy running around the house looking for a fire extinguisher. Right now, this house is actually literally caught on fire, right? So he puts the fire out, but not without having major aftermath damages to his home. All right, I'm sure we can all have resonate with this. Just replace his house with our business and ourselves in low states of being as simple issues that come up in our business that we can totally handle, as the cigarette butt or even it falling in the trash that, but our low state of being is like, whatever, it's hard to do anything. There's no energy available here right now. So next thing you know, the business is on fire, the house is on fire, right? Just start snowballing. Bad situation being right there. So puts the fire out, major aftermath damages to his home. I mean, the guy could have just handled the cigarette butt from the get-go, but he was too depressed to perceive the situation properly. Right? And start snowballing, right? So moral of the story, back to the whiteboard here, is that all the problems are birthed down here in these low states of beings, right? These red, I've circled them in red, right? You can see this going about life, boom, right? This is just where just the death of us gets birthed. So we need to figure out how to handle that situation, right? Like if we figure out how to shift out of these states at will, that is the game. Because I mean, just think about it. There are no problems when our states of being are high. Right? We handle the situation before it even becomes a problem, right? Like back to the Tim Grover quote, right? So when we're in a great mood, we are higher, right? The actual thoughts we have are different, right? So again, how we handle all what happens down here in the low state of being world, how we handle all this is the game. That's it. We figure out how to shift out of these states at will, keyword being at will. That is the game. There's nothing left but high states of being. And guess what? These are where all of our solutions are, up here in these high states of being, right? That's where everything is that we need. So just to take this one step further in understanding, all right, we can think about it in terms of frequencies, low frequencies and high frequencies, all right? So if you guys were ever wondering what these green squiggly lines were, that is a high frequency up there, that green squiggly line. And this other less squiggly line is a low frequency. The lighting's good there. You guys can make that out. Okay. So this is really cool. All right. So what I want you to notice is the difference in harmonics between these two frequencies. Big fancy word for the up and downs or the oscillations in the like the up and downs, right? That's what I'm saying here. Like, just forget the big words. Just how many ups and downs are happening in this low frequency versus this high frequency. Okay, so that's what we're talking about. So just look here at this low frequency. Doesn't it just seem so slow? It's like low frequency. And then he's like high frequency, up, down, up, down, up, down, up, down, up, down, up, down. Like, I can't even talk fast enough. That's how fast it is. Okay. Now here it is. Let's pretend this time. Let's pretend this is like 1 hour, right? Or you can do 1 day, 1 year, whatever. Right now, just 1 hour. Okay. So like in this 1 hour, person A is at this high frequency and person B is at this low frequency. All right. In this 1 hour of time. So if you look at the oscillations, let's say there's about 30 oscillations at the high frequency, 30 ups and downs. And then at this low frequency, you can see there's like 2, right? You see this? Like 2 ups and downs. And then up there's like 30 of those ups and downs, right? It's happening really, really fast. So what does this mean? So in the same 1 hour of time, literally 15 times the level of energy is available, 15x at the high frequency versus the low frequency, right? 30 oscillations, 2 oscillations, 30 divided by 2, 15, right? So just for the sake of the example, right? Numbers change, forget about that. Just understand it conceptually. All right, so really cool stuff, all right, when you get to understand this, okay? Because the higher the frequency, that was 15 times the energy available, right? And just to really illustrate the gravity of this, levels of energy are not linear, all right? I know I just said 15x, but that's just for the concept, all right? Logarithmic, meaning exponential, right? Like there are universes of difference between these high and low frequencies, like universes of difference. This is also why from a high vibrational state of being to a low vibrational state of being, right? Everything's phenomenal. Everything's just heaven on earth. Everything's going good. So much energy, vitality, problem solving, no problem. Insert whatever. And the next thing you know, our vibrations become low, right? And then like just the whole world just comes, right? Like the contrast, right? That's what I'm trying to just depict here. The contrast and the difference of reality. Well, look, this is why, right? This is why it just fucks you up in your head too. Again, excuse my language, but like, it's hard to accurately describe what one would feel going from up there to down here without using the word fuck. I'm sorry. So that's also why I'm so passionate about this, because we need to figure out how to regulate this situation. This is gonna mess up your mental health big time. Big time, big time, big time, big time. So we're gonna talk about that, right? So where we at? Okay, so at the higher frequencies, the energy, the thoughts, the inspiration, the creativity, the focus, our best selves are all up here. That's where they are, all up here. That's where all that beautiful things are, okay? That's where we need to be. Rule of thumb, low vibrational states of being attract low frequencies. High vibrational states of being attract high frequencies, right? It's kind of like how a radio works, right? Let's say the bottom of the radio is 89.7. That's a low frequency, right? And the top of the radio, let's say that's like 107.9, high frequency, okay? And the radio dial, what determines what we listen to is our vibrational state of being, okay? Now, I think we can all agree that the music playing on 107.9 is not playing on 89.7. Just like the thoughts we have at a high frequency are not the thoughts we have at a low frequency, right? So next time we want to change the music, all you need to do is turn the dial, all right? I love that analogy. Oh, it's my favorite analogy to depict this. Like this is exactly what's we're going to get into right now, right? How do we turn the dial? How do we shift vibrational states of being to get some way better thoughts, some way better music, you know, in the analogy, all right? So let's get right into it, okay? Get to the good stuff. Now we set the context of why this is important, because a lot of people have heard this concept I'm talking about in one way, shape, or form, but, you know, don't quite understand the gravity of the situation here. So to understand how shifting works, right, shifting the state of being, we first have to understand what causes us to be in a low state of being in the first place, all right? Which is, in a nutshell, how we thought our reality should be is not how our reality actually is, all right? For example, let's say I've been preparing for a new marketing campaign or something for weeks that I'm about to launch. It's going great, right? The whole week leading up to the launch, I start to notice myself in a low state of being. all those symptoms are coming up, right? The low energy, the brain fog, the low motivation, procrastination, all that stuff, right? And I'm over here thinking to myself, like, okay, everything seems to be going fine. So why do I feel so down? Right? How many times we found ourselves in low states of being and not known why? For me, it was every time until, I figure this out. Okay. Um, I'm sure many of you can relate. Right. So more often than not, when we're in a low state of being, we don't know why, which is where the old archaic idea that I mentioned earlier got birthed from, right? The whole do it anyway, forget about your feelings. If you got to hammer on the project, just hammer on the project. Doesn't matter what you feel like, just get it done. Just deliver, just deliver, just deliver, just deliver. You see, here's the problem with that school of thought. Action like that may get the job done, but not without leaving behind a trail of subpar results and just sucking up way more energy than required, like way more. The universe is for, right? Back to that whole situation. Great book on this called Power versus Force by what's his name? Something Hawkins. Anyway, the book's called Power versus Force, talks about the levels of energy. Highly recommend you guys read that. It goes into far more depth in this concept, Power versus Force. So chances are, you're built your business from these high states of beings up here, high vibrational states. So if you go take a low vibrational state into the operation of your business, you're just going to start denaturing that reality. Like, you know what I mean? Like the music you want to listen to is on 107.9, but you're over here on 89.7 thinking at some point you will hear the music on 107.9. It's not going to happen. It just won't. Just won't. All right. It's kind of like trying to get an apple from an orange tree. Like that, not going to happen. Not going to happen there. Yeah. So I just want to let that sink in because that just let that sink in on the brain there, So, just back to the frequency analogy, right? Don't play yourself. If you think results are going to be anywhere close to what they would be had you shifted your state of being to a higher state prior to doing the task, it's just going to be worlds of difference, right? I mean, if you can't get it from this context yet, that's about as clear as day. So no one, but you see, the problem is no one taught like how to shift states of being, right? Like no one taught this. Like it's very new, almost esoteric kind of a concept, right? All this is kind of a little bit esoteric in a sense, right? I mean, now it's beginning to be backed by actual more science, and science is catching up, but I kind of get where that school of thought got birthed from. And so I totally get it. It's why I'm speaking on this now. And please don't understand, none of you have done anything wrong. I'm not like, if you're like, oh, if this is like new to you and you had no idea, like, don't feel bad. Like very few people understand this, right? Or at least to the depth that I'm explaining it right now. So I'm just offering a better way to do it. If you have to chop down a tree and there's no chainsaw laying around, by all means, grab the axe and get to it. That's what I would do too. Okay. But, just think it's better to use a chainsaw. That's all I'm saying. Right. So, and I got a chainsaw for you coming right up. Okay. So here we go. When reality is not what we thought reality was going to be, enter that low state of being, right? Low vibrational state. Right. So, what creates our reality in the first place? Our beliefs, right? Our beliefs create our reality, right? And here's why, right? Our beliefs dictate what we think. They dictate our thoughts. It's kind of like you can't, like I said before, like you can't get an apple from an orange tree type of thing, right? If you have a certain belief that's going to be congruent with a certain level of thinking, right? Like don't be going over to a certain belief that you want to spit out an orange, but it's like an apple tree belief, So our thoughts are going to stimulate some emotion, right? Beliefs dictate our thoughts. The thoughts are going to stimulate some emotion within us. And our emotions are going to dictate our actions. Our actions produce our results, and our results, when we look at them, reinforce the belief. All right. And if we're not careful, we can get caught in this psycho-cybernetic loop, which will then forever be the lens we experience reality through. Right. But the linchpin here is the belief, right? So if our beliefs really control our reality, and by the way, I'm not the only one suggesting this. A lot of, many gurus, teachers, luminaries talk about this, right? It's just the law of the universe. Like you just got to accept that. Just accept it. It's better that way, right? The external world is a reflection of the internal world. I don't argue with the laws of the universe. You shouldn't either. So the question then becomes, how do we change our beliefs, right? Which is a really sticky situation because the very definition of our beliefs are that which are true for us. For us. emphasizing that for us part, that which are true for us. All right. My most critical moment in my understanding of how much beliefs create my reality was when I was pretty seasoned into my entrepreneurial journey. You know, I had all the cool stuff, penthouse apartment, downtown Sacramento, super dope. I love it here. I got the, blinds rolled down, but like I get to look out at the city skyline the whole time. So I'm going through a heat wave right now. It's like 105 outside and the sun is just bursting on my skin. But anyway, not to digress, but like I had a cool penthouse and everything. I'm, drive a cool Maserati. I was wanted Maseratis growing up. I just thought the Trident was really cool. Bought that, have a loving, healthy relationship, have more credibility in my business. I have my skill set actually got to the point to where it's like, okay, I feel really good about what I do. Great. Right. And I started noticing myself deliberately self-sabotaging my life. Deliberately, like literally, I was actively trying to break my life apart. Actively. And I remember my girlfriend was like about to leave me, like the healthy, happy, functional, like totally good relationship. It's about to leave me, right? Because the dumb shit I was doing, right? And don't worry, it's all going to make sense in a second. I was on week number 4 of sitting on the couch in self-loathing with no idea what I was going to do and what was going on and why. But then it hit me. It hit me like a ton of bricks, all right? My whole journey in my life, had gone something like this in a nutshell, right? Like work, get to a new level, get to a level up, and bang my head against the glass ceiling, and then harness this massive, massive negative energy to break through the ceiling and get to the happy level, get to the level up, and then get into the next level and then experience the bliss and the joy and all this stuff, right? Which takes me into a little bit of a story, right, about myself, because our beliefs are formed when we are age 0 to 7. All right, that's when we're in our theta brainwave state, right, as kids. If you don't know the state of hypnosis, right? So essentially, what's happening is that we're young, and other people are giving us meaning to our experiences, or more accurately, we're adopting the meaning that other people are presenting us with whatever experiences of happening in our life. Now, for me, growing up, I was like viciously bullied, right? I had a very traumatic childhood in that sense. Loving family, but just at school and my self-image was just horrible. So I was just I dreaded going to school. I would just literally every recess and lunch, I would just eat lunch by myself, play by myself, stay away from the other kids. It was like, I don't know, this moment flashes between my head all the time around when I would be waiting for my mom to pick me up from school. I would just literally be on recess the whole time and just staring at the road, singing Christmas carols in my head. I don't even know the significance of the Christmas carols. That's what was happening. It was like Rudolph the Red-Nosed. I think it's because I was watching the Christmas Rudolph show like on repeat a lot when I was at that age or something. And I'm just sitting there at recess, like hoping my mom somehow picks me up early from school, like as if that's going to happen. She's at work. But this is what I'm doing. Anyway, so I'm like viciously bullied all the time for school. So I ended up harnessing all this negative energy to, propel my life forward into success. This happened first with my body, right? I would just harness all this pain. Every time I accomplished something amazing in my life, I would harness pain to do it, harness suffering to do it, use negative energy to do it. So back to that psycho-cybernetic loop, I had a belief in my mind that if my life wasn't absolutely fucked and I didn't like foster and just, like in a sense, wield all this negative power and just direct it in a certain direction, I thought that was the only way. I had a full belief. That's all I knew. I didn't know that there was like a happy way I could happily create and manifest. I didn't know at this time, right? And then so that belief followed me in through my bodybuilding career, it followed me through my early entrepreneurial careers with businesses I made, and then then eventually fast forward to just a couple years ago, and my life has become so good that at this point, me actively tearing it down to try to get more negative energy to harness to break through whatever level I was trying to be at just didn't work anymore. It just didn't work. Because my life was so good. I'm observing myself. I'm like, this is not right. I have a very loving relationship. Why am I actively trying to fuck it up? Why am I trying to ruin my finances actively right now? Why am I buying this dumb shit? Oh shit, I'm trying to like fuck up my credit score, drain the bank account, mess up my relationship, put my businesses in high stress places, get into this low state of being right here, right? Like, this is me. I would get down, let's say this is like -30. I could just go back up right there like other people, but me, no, I would take it down to a -100, fucking rock bottom, just so that I can just harness all this pain and this fucked shit in my life, which is what happened to me in my childhood, to then catapult back up and use all that momentum, because it takes a lot. It's a lot easier to go from -100 to 100 to -30, right? It's a lot easier to go from -100 to -30 than it is to go from -30 to +30, right? Like, all you have to do is just suck a little bit less, right? To do this, you actually have to be great. So I would just like build so much momentum from sucking less and then use that to like slingshot me up. And I had no idea that was the belief. That's what I believed I had to do. I didn't even know that's what I was doing till I was on the couch for 3 weeks, just sitting there, not moving, in inactivity, right? And just, I remember I was talking to my little brother on the phone. My girlfriend was like right about to leave me. Like, she was just like fed up with everything. Business partner's upset. Just everything's not going good. I'm on the phone with my little brother, and then I'm just, I'm talking out loud, right? I'm just thinking out loud on the phone. He's doing a great job holding a space for me to psychoanalyze myself. And for the first time in my life, I started really analyzing my thinking. And the catalyst for me doing that was, again, my life becoming so good that me watching myself dismantle it was just obscene. I'm just like, okay, this is probably not a good idea. I worked really hard to get here. Why am I tearing it down, right? Because in the past when I did it, it wasn't, I had all this material shit didn't really pop up in my life yet, all this cool high level luxury stuff or whatever, that didn't pop up yet, right? So when I would fuck everything up in my life, it just, it would just go from not that great to extremely bad versus really, really good to extremely bad, right? That contrast is what allowed me to be like, wait, this isn't right. So as I was, going, it hit me like a fucking ton of bricks. And as soon as it did, and I realized everything that I just told all of you about my childhood, about how every time I've leveled up, I've always done it from a place of harnessing negative energy. Every single time I got success, I used that to break through the level and then get to like this utopia of the new level. And then I'd get to level up again. And then I just would dismantle my life. This happened in old relationships. I fucked up good relationships. I ruined my credit just for no reason, just buying dumb shit just for no reason. And then I had to like repair it and do all this other stuff, right? It was almost like I just didn't know anything else. So that psycho-cybernetic loop was the lens I was seeing my reality through. And as soon as I became aware of it, it reoriented everything in a millisecond. I'm not joking. I went from -100 within 4 to 8 seconds. Within 4 seconds, I was here at neutral from -100. And then the next 4 seconds, I was just flying high. Again, it was like 4 p.m. I remember in the middle of the day, I just started busting out in laughter when I figured this shit out. Your brain can't unsee that shit when you reorient to yourself and really analyze the thinking. Your brain can't unsee it. So it just radically changes your state, right? And you create that new neural network around it. And that shit's fucking powerful. And then that's when I started just, there's many modalities for changing your state, right? You can reframe it, you can change the story, you can go like physically, you can do breath work, you can go work out, change your state. Those are great, but essentially I like to talk about the root cause. Like, let's really nip this in the bud. What's causing this, right? Our beliefs, right? So that's why I always, coach and speak from that perspective, like the highest one, right? All the other stuff's great. I'm not knocking it. There's many other ways to change your state. But essentially your beliefs. You got to analyze those, right? That's what's going to mess you up. So I want to break this down. Jesus, I'm sweating. Oh my God, this light is amazing. It makes my skin look so good, but it also makes me so hot. It's 105 degrees here in Sacramento, right? Step-by-step process for all of you. Okay, so here's what I got. All right, I got a 6-step process for next time all of you find yourself in a low state of being. I want you to follow these steps. All right, we'll go over it. Okay, write this down. All right, step 1. Notice when you have moved into a low state of being. Just notice it. Like, oh, I'm in a low vibrational state. Okay. Know that the only thing that has caused you to move into that low vibrational state is your own thinking. Step 3. Take a look at what the thinking is. Analyze it. Step 4. Be able to be open to the fact that if the thinking is moving you into a low vibrational state, that it may not be true. Should be open to that fact that it may not be true if it's moving you into a low vibrational state, okay? Step 5, if that thinking isn't true, then some form of the opposite must be true. So what might that be? What could that look like? All right. Step 6, what evidence do you have for that fact that would make that true? And that's it. That's what happened. I started analyzing my thinking. I didn't know that this is the process I was going through on the couch talking to my little brother, right? But once I actually did it, I was able to identify these steps and do it over and over and over again. And that's the beautiful part about this. The more and more you deliberately practice this, for one, the easier it gets. But more importantly, your brain will start to build a new psychocybernetic loop that now includes a state change lever in the loop whenever we experience that low state of being, right? So that psychocybernetic loop that just runs your life now is, into the ground. It was running my life into the ground before I learned this. Now, every time I'm in my low state of being, I've actually practiced this so much that I don't actually now go through these 6 steps, and none of you will either after you start to actually put this into practice in your life, because you'll build a new neural network around this happening. Like your brain will just learn this. It'll build synapses around this. You'll be like, oh, he's in a low state of being, Koch's in a low state of being. Stop, analyze the thinking. What's going on? What is the belief that this thinking is attached to? Is that even true? And sometimes it is true. I just want to say, sometimes it is true. Like, if you guys are ever just, if you're ever in a position to where you're going to do something new, like literally for growing in your career, there are going to be times where this actually is the case, where your beliefs are actually true. For example, if you need to do so, when you're growing, if you need to go somewhere you've never gone, you need to do something you've never done. And your subconscious mind is going to realize that you've never done that X, whatever that is for you before. And that's going to be true in that moment. And that might be very well why you're in that low state of being. It's because your brain's like, hey, bro, you're being all positive and all this stuff. And, you got this skill set and everything. But yeah, buddy, you just ain't never done this before. So don't try to act all cocky about it. That does happen. Okay. And when that does happen, right, this is that 1 out of 10 time. Okay. 1 out of 10 times. Okay. Because that is, I can already see the questions coming after this about like, hey, well, what if it is true? Okay. So I'm going to tell you what to do. In that anomaly, when that does happen, the process is still the same. Stop, analyze the thinking, what belief is associated with it. Is it true? And if it is, in that moment, what you need to do is figure out what part about the reality is making you uncomfortable, right? For example, if you are, let's say you're, a performance coach like myself, and you're moving up into a higher echelon of coaching where you're coaching higher caliber people, right? Same concepts, but now you're just delivering them to people that have more stature, right? So it's just going to change the dynamic. Your mind is going to just start pumping cortisol in your body and get stressed out because it knows that you have never done that before. And that's true. But what you can do is start building a step-by-step action plan in that moment to raise your skill set to the point that it would satisfy whatever the discrepancy is in the thinking, whatever the issue is in the reality. For example, I remember when I was developing, running the marketing campaign example, right? When I was getting into learning digital marketing and all these things, I would get a lot of anxiety about this and whatnot. I'm like, this is true. I don't have this skill set. Damn it. This is true, right? So what I did was, in that moment, I immediately set aside a 1-hour time block at the top of my morning routine when I am, I've done all my meditation, my breath work, my, neural circuit. I do all this crazy weird shit. I can make another video about that in the morning to put myself in a state of alignment. So when I'm in full power, right about 8 o'clock, I spend 1 hour working on, I spend 1 hour working on the most important thing that I suck at the most, that I need for whatever level I'm at in my business. All right. So by putting that 1 hour time block before the operation of my business, right after morning routine time, when I'm at full power, that just made me feel really good. It didn't make me it didn't completely erase the anxiety, but it took away, I'd say, a solid 75%. So that's really good, right? That's really good. Just getting 75% better. Like if you can just put an action plan together about what you need to do and then stick to it, and that's the key, stick to it consistently to get your skill set to the point where it needs to be so that you can have the reality you want. All right, do that right after whatever alignment practices you do in the morning that get you in into a powerful state, do that work right after that. So that's the anomaly right there. But other than that, 9 times out of 10, it's just not true, guys. It's just not true. You got to sit down, go through this process, figure out what the thinking is. Is it true? It's probably not. What evidence can we find that it's not true? And then boom, your brain will just reorient itself to the entire situation. So yeah, that's it. That's the big secret about it. Change your state. Might seem simple, but again, you don't know what you don't know. And every pivotal, critical nugget of knowledge I've ever learned in my life, after I learned it, I'm like, oh my God, it was like right there in front of my face this whole time. I just didn't see it. It just wasn't, I don't know. It was like right there, but I could have just didn't see it. Just like I didn't see the, my love of dark energy and where that came from. I didn't even know. I'm like, dang, no wonder I was such a dark dude and whatnot. You know, it got me a lot of success for a while. Everything works until it doesn't, guys. Everything works until it doesn't. So now I just want to go ahead and open up some questions here. I know my man Josh has sent me over some questions, so we're gonna get into a little Q&A. So I'm gonna, read some questions, do the answers. Go ahead and send them your questions if just type of questions in, and we'll go ahead and get right to it. Okay, so first question: what can I do to practice controlling my frequencies? Meditation. Meditation. Number one, transcendental meditation. All right. Yeah, just go download an app. There's a whole bunch of apps. I want to use this time to just give practical answers. I don't want to get too deep into the meditation stuff like that. Please go on YouTube and just a daily practice of meditation within your morning routine will radically change your ability to control your frequencies, understand them, and become more aware of the low and high frequencies. And predominantly that's due to because after you meditate, you just come out of it. If you're doing it right and you're practiced and you're pretty efficient at it, you're going to come out of it in a very high with the high frequency. You're going to come out of it in a very high vibrational state. Next question. I love the frequencies reference. Do you research quantum physics, which is real science on the subject matter? Yes, I do. And I did not include that quantum physics because then this presentation would be a lot longer. I totally don't mind doing another video or something explaining the quantum physics of this whole thing. Great book called Becoming Supernatural by Dr. Joe Dispenza. If you're into quantum mechanics and all that good stuff, I would definitely do that. Also, The Art of Creating Yourself or Rewiring Your Brain by anything by Joe Dispenza. If this presentation is very enticing for you and like you're like, oh my God, this is my jam, just read all the books by Dr. Joe Dispenza, as well as this other book called Levels of Energy by, I believe, Frederick Douglass something. It's called Levels of Energy. It's by Frederick Douglass. I think that's his name, something like that. It's called Levels of Energy. That one. Any of the works by Dr. Joe Dispenza and that book I also referenced earlier, The Power versus Force. Next question. Do you think this idea of frequencies play on a large scale to the masses? For example, hysteria of the pandemic. Phenomenal question. Answer is fuck yes. Again, excuse my language. But yes. Okay. So, okay, I'm gonna talk about this because this is important real quick. Okay, so there's only one being in the universe. One. It's called the universe, okay? And we are all fractals of that one being, right? Just little, like here's all of us, just all the infinite spinoffs, right, of the universe. So, as you know, right now we're going through the Great Awakening as a planet. I'm gonna get a little esoteric right now with everything, but I know this is going to resonate. What happens within all of us is also happening outside of us in the world. You can think about I remember, I'm sure a lot of you guys relate. If you go through like a spiritual awakening, a big transformation, a dark night of the soul, where it's pivotal in your level up. And then you're like deep in the winter, deep in the frozen ice of winter. And then you come out of it and then spring and then yay, summer and stuff like that, right? So that's what's happening outside of us in the world. The earth is going through its own dark night of the soul right now. And yes, the planetary frequency was at a low level of energy. So just real quick, in the book Power versus Force, it quantifies the levels of energy numerically. All right. And just, follow along for this one. Okay. Anything at level 199 and lower is destructive to oneself and humanity as a whole. And up until this period of time, this great awakening, what's happening right now, the planetary consciousness level has been below 200 this entire time for thousands of years. It's been this way. And now we're getting ready to actually inch into the constructive frequencies or levels of energy that are constructive to ourselves and society as a whole. Some of these detrimental frequencies are that of anger, that of, grief, of apathy, of shame, right? And then at 200 starts neutrality, right? And then after that comes acceptance, courage, acceptance, reason, joy, bliss, enlightenment, all these things, right? Like, doesn't that sound amazing, right? That's why it's constructive to yourself and humanity as a whole. And all the other ones, the grief, the apathy, the shame, and all these things, right? They are very, destructive to ourselves and humanity as a whole. And what we're witnessing with the pandemic right now is the entire planet is about to install a new energy attractor that can actually, in a sense, turn that radio dial, right? To get that first lick of a constructive frequency as an actual species. And we're all going through it. Keep pointing out the window out there and stuff like that. So we're all going through a collective dark night of the soul here. The planet is going through a dark night of the soul, and that's what's going on in the pandemic. So I'd love to talk more about that, but I want to get some more questions here. What are some techniques to turn harnessed pain into positive? Turn harnessed pain into positive. So I don't really like harnessing the pain into a positive, or maybe we're just having a misunderstanding on what you mean by that. But I'll say this, right? Pain is an indicator, okay? Pain is good, right? You touch a stove, if you touch the hot stove, oh no, you feel pain. If you didn't feel the pain, then your finger would just get burned, and then the skin get burned up, and your finger's gone, and then there's bone there. It's not a good situation, right? So what I would say to that question is use pain as an indicator, right? Pain is indicative that something is going on. Something in your reality is not how you thought it should be. And then use that to then go and look inward. What did I even think was going to happen versus what actually happened? And then why? And what was the thinking associated with that? And that is how you should be using pain, okay? Little off topic, but curious. You mentioned you ruined relationships and credit, etc. How'd you fix it? I fixed it by just getting back into a high vibrational state of being. That shit don't exist up here, okay? Organically, you'll just do it. You'll just do it. You'll just know what to do. The universe it's like a vortex. It's crazy when you really get good at this, because a lot of times people don't experience that whole, vortex type of situation, like solutions just coming to you and just your brain speed just lightning fast. You know what I mean? Like, I'm actively trying to talk slower right now, just because of not to brag or anything like that, but like, I live up here, right? Because I've mastered my brain is built neural circuitry around how to handle these like deadly red circles here. So I just like launch back up. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, to answer your question, just change your state of being and we'll just figure it out. Okay, it's different for everybody. All right, different for everybody. It doesn't matter. I can give someone that's depressed in a low state of being all the tactics, all the strategy. Here, call my credit repair person. Here, do this. Here's a 100K loan. If they're in this low state of being, that don't matter. Like, they're just gonna fuck that all up. I promise. Someone's in a losing mentality, they're just gonna lose. Someone's in a winning mentality, they're gonna win. It doesn't matter. You can give a loser all the mentorship, all the coaching, all the top strategies. They have a losing mindset, they will find a way to lose. And the opposite's true for a winning mentality, right? If you're a winner, you got a winning mentality, it's game over. It doesn't matter. You could just shoot that guy in the foot, take away all advantages, just make him, have a huge, figuratively run a mile with a weight vest. It doesn't matter. He'll find a way to win. All right. It's about your frequency you bring into the situation. Okay. Next question. Do you believe that you can heal your body through your thoughts? Have you practiced this too? Yes, absolutely, 100%. This is a high-level technique. Do not try to jump right into that. You can see this in like the Buddhist monks in Tibet. Like a lot of them, like you'll see this, like just you can see this on YouTube. A lot of people think it's fake and stuff like that, but I've seen some crazy shit. Like I've been back in India, seen people like spit fire and shit like that. It can be done. These are high level concepts. Like if you can't figure this stuff out, like those type of things, like self-healing, actively speeding up, slowing down the metabolism, you can like literally like speed up healing, like make your skin harder. You see Wim Hof do that shit, right? You know what I mean? Like what do you climbed Mount Everest in his boxers and some shit, right? He like was in the ice, or they even injected him with the endotoxin. I don't know if you guys saw that. Wim Hof, they injected him with the endotoxin, like he's supposed to start developing flu symptoms. His frequency was so high that literally his antibodies then proceeded to, like, you could see his white blood cells just come like little savages and just start destroying the fucking endotoxin. I'm saying fuck so many times. I don't know why. I'm just so passionate about this. What I'm talking about. Great questions, guys. You really see the endotoxin just getting mollywopped in his body by his killer white blood cells, man. But again, right, that's high level shit. Right? Don't be trying to learn level 100 shit when you're at level 10. Okay, just work on level 10 stuff. But it's good to keep your eye on the ball there, right? So feel free to explore, but that's a whole different issue altogether when people start doing step number 6 stuff on step number 2 or 14 on step 3. Like, don't do that. Okay, next question. How long does it take you to adjust your frequency, minutes, hours, etc., to the quicker over time? Yes, longest it ever took me was that 4 months on the couch. Now I can do it probably longest it's taken me 3 minutes. 3 minutes. Because again, like you just get really good at it, right? You just get really, really, really good at it. And also my frequency doesn't drop that much because my subconscious mind understands that I have the ability, but I understand how to change these states. So because my mind knows that I have this tool that I can easily just use to unlock this door at any time, my state of being doesn't fall that far anyway because I have that tool. So again, practice. Okay. At first it would take like sometimes a day when I become aware of this. Like it would be like the whole day sometimes. And that gets less and less and less. So what's the best order, in your opinion, for the morning routine, meditation, workout, biogenetics, work, study, high income, skill, reading? Okay, now there is no right question for this, the best order of your morning routine. What I will say is your morning routine will evolve as you evolve, all right? Because literally as you evolve, you will do different things to then get to the evolved state. So therefore what you do will change, right? So don't get too locked into your morning routine. There are literally times where, I wake up at 4:30 for months on end. And there are times where I wake up at like 9, 10, 11 a.m. for, a couple months and stuff. It just matters what's going on in my life, what chapter of my life is going on, what's going on, where you really have to base your morning routine. It's meant to optimize you. It's meant to put you into alignment, right? So I'm a big mind, body, soul type of guy. I like to hit the mind, body, and soul all together in the morning routine. Like, so I'll share with you mine. I don't recommend copying mine. I do a lot of crazy shit. Feel free to copy it if you want to, but whatever. The point I'm making is you have to make your morning routine based on what you need. But what I do is I wake up for, about 4:30 or 5, one or the other, and I'll play with my cats for 30 minutes. That's what I'll do. I'll wake up and just fuck around with them for 30 minutes. That's what I do. While I get my coffee and stuff like that, getting going. I like to drink coffee in the morning. I just like to. And I'll just play with my cats. Now, for me, I am a person. Now, you might be wondering, like, this might go against the grain of like, aren't you supposed to just wake up and just launch out of bed like a catapult and then like, just go into all this crazy cold showers and workout and cardio and all this stuff? And don't get me wrong, I do those things, but I'm so psychologically obsessed as a person. That's why I do the work that I do. I obsess over just human development. That has been my big, like I've read over like 1,000 books. Like it's crazy. Like this ain't even all of it. And the hella audiobooks, and I put all these things into practice. I live this shit. I live it all day long. Like this is just my MO, right? So I actually have to actively calm myself down. So I actually have like a fuck around period right in the morning to ground that playful energy of like, hey, I'm having a good time in life. It's a game, right? But if you're like lazy and you're trying to cultivate discipline, you know what I mean? Like this is the last thing you want to do. This is the last. So this is what I'm saying. Like you got to be self-aware. Oh my God, I'm sweating. You got to be self-aware where you're at and what you need to work on, right? When I was cultivating my self-discipline, I remember I was waking up at 5 o'clock, from 5 to 5:15. I get the coffee, do grounding, walk on the grass from like 5 to 5:30, go in the bathroom, assess my physique, use the bathroom, go take a cold shower. After that, I would go meditate for 30 minutes, do my grooming and then meditate for about 30 minutes, then read a good book and then go to the gym. I read a good book for 20 minutes, a book around something I have a weakness in. And then I'd go to the gym, and then I'd go do cardio while I listen to an audiobook of some kind or a YouTube or whatever, some type of thing, something like this that I'm making right now, something like that. And then go do a workout with like music. And I come home, shower, and then put on work clothes and get to it. Right. Like that's, and then I got obsessed with all that. And then I had to like dial it way back because my mental health, I was just fucking up my personal life at that point. So this is why it's really important to be self-aware and know where you're at. But next question. Okay. Thoughts on effective orgonite pyramids. Oh, can you generalize what you do each morning? Okay, cool. I just generalized what I did each morning. Now, thoughts on, there's a two-part question though. Thoughts on the effect of an orgonite pyramid. Okay, I'm assuming you're referring to like crystals and stuff. I'm a big fan of crystals, right? I have a whole bunch of them right there and stuff. Here, like, this is really cool. I like to go over here and like, do that every morning and stuff. That's not a crystal. It just makes a nice sound. But there's crystals around that thing. So crystals, like they're going to embody the energy that you give it. So if your energy's fucked, your crystal's gonna have fucked energy too. So if you're not in a good state of being, I wouldn't be using crystals and stuff like that. You could do it. Honestly, crystals is something you should be using when you're already like feeling pretty good. I don't think it's a very good tool in my opinion. Everything works. There's definitely maybe someone listening to this like crystals are the way to go. But like, and they might very well have saved you. Me personally, I think they just look good in my house. Don't get mad at me. That's where I'm coming from on that. For me, I use it to ground my positive energy in my house, and because I emit all this positive, high energy. So that's how my perspective is. Ismail mentioned Age of. Oh, cool. Yep. Nice. Correct, Ismail. How can you interpret purpose with controlling that feeling of pushing through? How can you interpret purpose? The feeling, I'm guessing that you're referring to like the analogy of like you got to chop down a tree and there's no chainsaw at all, like, and you got to just use that axe. Well, shit, this could happen sometimes where you're in a low state of being and then yourself and like, let's say you have to go give a talk or do a sales call or do something. Yeah, then at that point, shit, go do some jumping jacks and breath work and just give yourself some positive, do whatever the best you can, just handle it, right? That's when that other school of thought actually makes sense to use. But you'll find more often than not, you have 5-10 minutes at least, or even 20-30. You can move meetings around and stuff. So just stop moving, put yourself in a state of inactivity, and then do the 6 steps that I talked about. All right, like what's going on? Why are you in a primal state? Okay, what thinking is causing this? Analyzing the thinking. Is it true? Finding evidence that it's not true. Or, and then doing the whole steps. You're going to get better and better at it. And then as you get easier at it, it'll take just, maybe it's like 5 minutes at the most. And then when you come across these moments of life where you're in a low state of being and you have to go and perform, you'll be able to, hey, I need to step aside 5 minutes and, go and handle that, So to answer your question, it's pretty always 99% of the time. Did you see the frequency levels after the World Meditation Day? I did not see the frequency levels, but I felt them. So yes. Is there a way to always stay in a high frequency? Yes, there is, right? You have to practice. You have to build that neurological synapse around the 6-step process I just laid out here. Like go and watch this again and really internalize this video, right? And as you start doing that, your brain will then build a pattern around, like there's the book called The Power of Habit. You should study that, right? It's like a habit loop, right? You have a trigger and then your mode of action and then the reward, right? In this instant, the trigger would be the low vibrational state. Then the action pattern would be the 6 steps that I laid out. And then the reward would be that it puts you in a high vibrational state. And then it's going to release hella dopamine. Your brain's then going to just get so emotionally attached to that way of being that now when your conscious mind, which is different than your subconscious mind, or your conscious mind, which you're using to listen to me right now and navigate your way through life, when your conscious mind finds that you are experiencing a low state of being, right? When that happens, you'll then activate this habit. It's a habit. You don't got to think about it. You could be just like have no energy after you develop this habit. The habit will have a life of its own. It'll come in and it'll save you, right? It'll save you from all your pain. And it'll just, like, I don't really think through these steps anymore, right? I just recognize the low state of being and then my brain just does some shit and then I'm back in a high state of being, right? And I'm on to the next. And so, yeah, you'll eventually get there. That's how you stay. Just keep practicing. Don't let off the gas. And that's how you stay at a high frequency. Okay, so next question. Do you listen to certain frequencies? If so, are YouTube videos able to capture those frequencies accurately? Great question. I like this question. Yes, I do at nighttime. You can listen like 432 hertz. It's really great for sleep. There's a whole bunch of different hertz that you can tune into. I recommend playing around with a whole bunch of different ones. I like listening to affirmations. I have a whole bunch of mind hacks and stuff that can make the stuff easier and whatnot. Perhaps I'll come back on and do another video on those things. But yes, definitely listen to frequencies before bed. Reason being is that frequency is going to help you be in a theta brainwave state and help you get into sleep better. And when you're in theta, you're in hypnosis. That helps you better internalize that frequency to just become more part of your default as you go through your day to day. So yeah, YouTube, that's good. Who has influenced you the most? Myself, 100%. And that's not me being arrogant. Like literally I psychoanalyze myself all day. If I'm at a place now to where I'm able to tap into my own intelligence, from source and whatnot. And like other people are living their own lives. They don't have the answers I need, right? So, I mean, I'm always getting influenced by myself and like asking, why am I doing this? Why am I prioritizing this? Why is this important to me right now? Why am I so monomaniacally obsessed with this type of work to just live like this? And it makes me happy doing it, like kind of like if you guys know David Goggins and how he's like that, like kind of like about his shit, about the pain and the suffering. Like he's literally like the physical manifestation of pain and suffering in a good way, like to teach us, how to use it and harness it. I feel like the universe sent him for that. I am that way as like a guide for others. So I can't guide anybody if I don't like know my shit and live my shit. Because for one, no one would listen to me, and two, I would not know how to guide them. So I'm always like just getting better at my craft and improving myself, like, why do I think this? Why do I think this? And scrutinizing my beliefs. So, yep, that's definitely influenced me the most. Do you believe we all have a predetermined purpose, or is it a nadir if choosing such purposes in life? Okay, I think nadir is a typo, but yes, I do believe we all have a purpose, but we also have free choice. You can fuck your purpose up if you want to. I can jump off this balcony. I'm not going to, but I could jump off this balcony. I have free choice. Okay, thank you, Josh. You just corrected me. It's matter. Okay, so do you believe we all have a predetermined purpose, or is it a matter of choosing such purposes in life? Yeah, so your life is about you discovering your purpose, okay? So like, yes, we all incarnate to this planet. Yes, we do, with a predestined plan that we forget when we get here. And then so our early part of our life is starting to just remember what we forgot, right? And yeah, that might look like discovering your purpose. Like I remember there was a time where I thought I was an entrepreneur first and a coach second. I was like, okay, I love, this brings me more wealth and I feel so rich in my heart when I help people, using all like my pain and suffering and then packaging it up into like a beautiful nugget of practical wisdom that people can implement to bypass this shit that I went through. Makes me just feel high, right? But then, everyone's following the shiny carrot. I'm guilty of it too. I'm like, well, this is great. I can make a lot of money, but I'll never be wealthy doing this. Like I need to find a way to I got to invest in some real estate. I got to start a supplement company. I got to do all these things, which I did, I invest in real estate and start a supplement company, but now I do it with the right mindset. I know that I'm a coach first and not an entrepreneur first, right? Entrepreneurship is more like a hobby. I like building businesses. It's fun, right? But this is my MO. It's my passion. This is what I'm here on this earth to do. Be a guide for others, right? I'm like that dude that's on the raft, you know what I mean? Like the old dude with the beard that he's gonna help you cross the ocean of death on a raft and like no one can cross without him. Like, he just shows up out of the fog and shit with like the stoic eyes and all that stuff. Again, not trying to be arrogant. This is just what I know to be true from doing my work. And like, that's like the vibe of my soul's essence, so to speak, right? Like that's what I do. So I'm like, I better be like the best fucking guide out there for people, right? So next question. Just to conclude off the last question, yes, so we all have a predetermined purpose. You figuring that out and remembering it may appear to be discovery, but it's really just relearning what you do, So, and yes, you have free choice. So you can mess it up. So last question, do you believe that we all have a okay. All right, guys, we're out of time. I would love to do this again. Super fun. Great questions, by the way. Great job. This is super fun for me. Thanks so much. If you guys would like to connect, follow me on Instagram at Akash Aesthetics. No underscore, just Akash Aesthetics. That's AKAASH Aesthetics, AESTHETICS, Akash Aesthetics. I'm very active on my Instagram DMs. Feel free to shoot me a DM, ask me any questions. I love doing that kind of stuff on my stories and stuff. I answer questions all the time. And I post a lot of this type of, consciousness expanding content all the time. So if you like this stuff, this vibe with you, go ahead and give me a follow on Instagram. YouTube link is there as well. And yeah, I'm sure I'll be back. Talk to you guys soon. Sign out.